I think I'm live. It always surprises me, that does. I'm trying to use Streamlabs with this, and the button was there saying go live, and I didn't press it. I thought, oh, okay, I've got a second to just think for a moment, but I haven't, because I'm live, apparently. Let me know if it's all working. Hopefully it is. Hopefully nothing much has changed since the last time. All going well. I'm just having a look around, making sure my mic levels are okay. How are we doing? Say hello to me. Hello, Dan. Nice to see you. Dan, just Dan. Have you been on before, Dan? I'm not sure. I don't recognise the name. Dadadia, I recognise that. Mick Dad Nadathudi. And yes, I recognise you. Nice to see you all. And Lewis Thorpe, I remember that name as well. Dry Penguin, Mike S. Nice to see you all on here. Great stuff. Greetings from the UK. So hopefully everybody's okay. It's tricky to say that sort of thing in this current situation that we may find ourselves in. My last name is on my channel, if you care. That's okay, Dan. I always care about people. For the title was very vague. It's Stylized game asset. I'm looking for my pen. I'm opening this and it's not there. There it is. Stylized game assets. No, it's not. It's stylized 3D art. That's what I'm going for. So not necessarily game assets, although the workflow is a game asset workflow. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So it's sort of like a AAA gaming aspect. Gaming? Oh dear, we're going to have one of those. It's a AAA game thing, workflow. That's what I'm saying. Game assets. That's what I was trying to say, I think, wasn't it? Anyway, nice to know. So lots of people on already. That's lovely to see. Thanks for joining me. So I was thinking, so let's get my images down so you get an idea of what I'm looking at. These are my reference images. If I go Control F for full screen. No, I can't go to... Oh, there we go. Control F for full screen. Full screen. Right, so yes, the COVID-19 is affecting me. Yes, it is. Well, it's not literally affecting me, but it's impossible, I think, to get away from it, really, isn't it? In our society. Well, I say that. That's probably absolute rubbish. But it's all over the news, isn't it? I think that's more scary than anything is the news, if you look at the news. I've thought to myself, I won't talk about it, but already asked. Hello, Charlie. Nice to see you on here. I haven't seen you on here for a little while. Hope you're okay. Charlie was an ex-student of mine, and he's still doing games design stuff. It's good to hear. You'll have to share some of your work. Max. Nice to see you on here as well. These are in PureRef. So PureRef, how can I see? Yeah, so I can sort of middle mouse button and move around. And how do I zoom in? A wheel to zoom in, but that's not hooked up to my tablet at the moment. And it's a little bit confusing as a program. I ought to do a tutorial on PureRef itself, actually, because I suddenly find buttons and think, oh, that's how you do that, is it? Handy stuff. Anyway, so something a bit like this. And maybe a bit like this, but with a bit of this, and maybe a bit of this, but looking a little bit real like this, and maybe some glowing mushrooms like this. They're not mushrooms, are they? They're toadstools. That's right, isn't it? Toadstools. Anyway, some fun guys. I love this work here. Annoyingly, that's the problem with PureRef. You bring all your images in, and then you can't tell where they're from. So for a live stream, that's pretty naughty in a way, isn't it? Yeah, I've just looked at the live stream and seen what people say. Sorry, looked at the stream and see what people are saying. Yes, so Charlie, your uni's closed down now, is it? My school, I've just heard from my school, Suffolk One, in Suffolk, would you believe it, in Ipswich. And they've closed down today to students. So in a way that's, oh, thank you very much, Spark. That's very kind of you. Really appreciate it. I don't feel you have to donate, but every donation is gratefully received. But we had a bit of a donation wars, which obviously is nice for me, but it did feel kind of weird. But it was cool as well. It was kind of fun, actually, to be fair. But don't feel like you have to. But thank you very much, Spark. I don't want to. I'm sounding ungrateful there, aren't I? That's not what I meant to.
Thank you very much.
That's not what I meant to sound like. I am very grateful indeed. Thank you very much. It's going well, thank you, Spark, with little how's it going thing. So my school has closed down. I say closed down, that's not quite. It's gone to online learning. Now, I've got to be careful how I word this, haven't I? Because it's, fun guy, sorry about that. I couldn't help myself. It's as in play on fungus. Fun guys, yeah. Just in case you didn't get it. I haven't spoken to anybody all day, so I've been very much insular, getting on with work. And now I'm talking. My mouth isn't working, and my brain isn't working by the sound of things either. So I'm sorry if my chat is rubbish. Anyway, so where were we? So I was thinking, why not just do a live stream tomorrow as well, and then my students can jump on that and join in. So we could do a live stream lesson. What would you like to learn about? It has to be a relatively, I would say it's sort of just above beginner level, sort of intermediate level. If you looked at my last tutorial, that's the one I'll tell them to have a go at, which is doing that pot, that sort of game asset. And it's the whole workflow, but it's a really simple game object and the simplest way to make it. So it's not the best way to make it, but it's the simplest way if you quickly want to make some game assets and have some fun and show off your work and all that sort of stuff. Thanks for subscribing, Benjamin Ostners Naram. Anyway, hello, Lolov44. So there's lots of people online already. That's I feel like I want to say hello to everybody, but the stream goes too fast at times. But it's nice to see you all on here, and thanks for all your comments. I like comments. It's nice to see them. But you're probably wondering what on earth am I doing? So yes, like I say, this is my actual. Yes, I did draw this, but I was being quick, so give me a break. From a distance, actually, from about there, I think it looks quite good. It sort of mixes in quite well, I think. So I don't know what the fuss is all about. But yeah, there's my concept art. So you can see what I'm going for. But whilst I was painting this, I had an image in my head, but I haven't really positioned this. Not positioned, what's constructed it in terms of visually appealing. So I've got to think where these little mushrooms are going to go, which side a bit more, and maybe sort of cut off. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it has to have the right balance. They talk about that a lot in photography. So it's weighted to one side. I mean, obviously it's a floating island idea. So this is going to be rocks. They are rocks. I know they're badly drawn. And this is moss, this green goo on the side here. And that's actually supposed to be a tree stump. And these are glowing mushrooms. They're not mushrooms, they're toadstools. But mushrooms just sounds cuter, doesn't it? Anyway, composed it exactly. That's what I was thinking. That's the word. Right, let's bring this up to here. So best way to start off, I think the rocks first of all. So let's put this into a sort of rock shape and then squish it around using the Remesh tools. I think that's going to be very helpful to us today. And it's going to be high poly start, sculpted. But then I will reduce the polys, but I won't do any sort of proper, what do you call it? My brain, what is wrong with it? Retopology. I won't be doing really complicated retopology or anything like that. I don't think there'd be much point. Because I just want to, because for those people that just want to quickly get art out there, I think there's quite a lot of people in that situation that you don't want to go through the whole game making workflow because you just haven't got the time. So let's think about some tips and tricks to speed that workflow up. Yes, you won't get the most optimized piece of game art ever, but we can probably just chuck it in, make some cool stuff. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully you know what I mean. So make sure you @ Abbitt if you want to ask me a question. And there's the first question from DJ Candyman. Hey Grant, in lockdown here in France, not much to do except learn more Blender stuff. That's why I thought live stream. Let's do some live streaming. And I don't know, there's something about you see all the Italians singing, and I thought, yeah, cool. Well, let's get online and talk to each other. No singing though, not from me anyway. Grant, this is from Corey S. Have you tried combining the node texturing you've just done tutorials on with the hand painted textures. I was just commenting on another video and missed a few minutes here. There. There's no problem. I often do sort of combine hand drawn and sort of procedural texturing, depending. Sometimes I start off with the procedural texture just to start off with a base, and then bake it on, and so there's loads of avenues you can go down. What's happening here today? What's the goal today? We're making a stylized 3D art, and I suppose I'm reluctant to, but I'm going to bring my reference image in. I suppose, I'll bring my reference image into here. So probably won't use the outliner too much. So let's go to the image editor. Then we can see what we're doing. Let's open up my, where is it? My beautiful concept art. I mean, you'll struggle to find anything better in the concept art world than that piece of beauty there. So, yep. I know no one's commented on it yet because they're all so shocked and stunned about its beauty. So that's fair enough. Do you use the experimental version of Blender or the latest stable one? I'm using the latest stable one. I was using the experimental one, and then I tried to do some remeshing and it crashed on me bad. And so I had to go back to the stable one. So I'm just sticking with the stable one for now. I don't think there's anything too complex that I'm doing that I need cloth brushes for and stuff like that. So I should be right. Maybe you can do a video on what is the brass. What is the brass? What to start with creating video game characters? I think you might have lost some lost some words there. What is the brass? I'm not sure that means. What's my favourite toenail cheese? Brilliant, love it. That would be. I'm a vegan, so I don't eat toenail cheese. Way, well, the vegan subject already. Look at that. So I'm just going to scale this around and turn it into a bit of a rock shape. I'll do some loop cuts. I better put my screencast keys on. I just suddenly dived in and thought maybe people want to know what I'm doing here. So I'll scale that in the X. And notice I'm doing this without a cylinder. I'm doing it with a cube. Anybody know why? Why have I done it with a cube? Why didn't I just start with a cylinder? Have a think. Right, let's get proportion letter on and turn this into a sort of rock shape. I suppose it doesn't have to be... this looks dreadful already, actually. I probably should have done some warm-up or something. Right, so we've got a rock shape. Yep, I've got them down there. Yep, I'm on it. How come you're so cool? Well, it's just who I am. Okay, doing some rock formations here. That's not cool. Okay, so really odd-looking rock shape. It's not very good, actually, is it? Why did I start not with a cylinder? Because I wanted quads. Indeed, a quad mesh. Yep, that was what I was thinking. But this is flipping awful. Right, so off to sculpting mode, remesh, over here at the remesh, and let's remesh. Might be a bit too detailed, so I'll undo that. And because I don't want it really sort of blocky, so let's go 0.5. So the higher the number, the less detail. So like that, that's great. So I just wanted something nice and simple so I can start sort of making a simple rock. Oh, now I'm surprised that worked because if I go to item, notice my dimensions and scale. No, not dimensions, just the scale. It was non-uniform scale. So going to sculpting mode, there should have been an error message. There used to be, which is non-uniform scale. So when I start, I don't know, what am I going to do? I'm going to start drawing. It should, well, maybe they fixed it. Not fixed it, but sort of updated it so that doesn't matter. But you shouldn't be able to sculpt very easily, and it should still keep its scale. So Control A and set your scale, apply your scale, I should say. See, all these are at 1 now. Often a really problematic beginner mistake, that is. Yeah, less vertices as well with the, that's why I was doing the not the cylinder, but a thingamajiggy. Yep. Please, can you help me making low poly environments? Or maybe that's something I can do on the stream tomorrow. Would you like to see that, anybody? Would anybody like to see that? I mean, it's just, yeah. I was sort of thinking, like, whoa, why is it not? Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. You see this cute little house? Oh, I've lost it now. There it is. Something like that would be quite fun, but in a sort of low poly form. This would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Well, something like that anyway. It's all cool, sort of fun, low poly stuff. I keep pressing the wrong buttons. I keep pressing middle mouse button to move it. There we go. Would people be interested in low poly? Oh, they would. Wow. Cool. That's much more than I thought, actually. There'll be more videos on nodes. They're coming up. I'm trying to sort of space them out and do other things and keep everybody happy. Oh, cool. Stylized low poly, yeah. So low poly there's two terms for low poly, isn't there? There's low poly, meaning low in the amount of polygons, but there's also low poly style as well. So, I'll turn the symmetry off there. So yeah, we not necessarily. I'm thinking low poly style and not worrying too much about the polygons. Okay, so we've got a rock there. That's as simple as I'm going to keep it. Okay, so we've got a basic rock. Now what I can do, I'll go to top view first. Shifty. I'm shifty. It's a British term. Shifty is someone who's I don't know. How would you explain that? Someone who's shifty. Someone who's a bit dodgy, but that's probably a British term as well, isn't it? So make them different sizes, scale, and rotate in the Z. This is how you can make the same asset look different. How about that? Scale. I'll just make that one a bit smaller. Grab it up there. Okay, so we've got a sort of base for our rock. I don't know, maybe I need a few more. Who knows? Shift D. And then rotate in the Z. And I'm making a sort of simple rock base. And Shift D. I'll get rid of that one, move that one in, move that one around. Okay, so there's a sort of rock base that's going to have, that is the home for my tree. I want to flatten out the top though, and keep the bottom sort of wibbly wobbly, as I love to say. Low poly style, polygonal, isn't it? Yeah. Untrustworthy, that's probably the best way to say, isn't it? Yeah. Just having a look. Low poly wooden characters. Interesting. Polygonal, I suppose, is a good way to put it, isn't it? So I'm selecting all. I'm just careful not to select the lamp and looking where my active object is. Let's go across the sculpt mode and remesh. Oh no, Control J first to join. Control J. To join, that's not working, so let's go back to layout mode and see what's going on. Control J. It worked that time. Maybe it's because I was in sculpt mode. Oh, I went to sculpt mode. It went into sculpting mode for the active object, and therefore won't join. But if I go to sculpting mode now, let's get to the remesh, keeping it fairly high, but let's just see what it looks like. Oh, all that work. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. It's not actually that bad, but I think we needed a bit better than that. In fact, let's use the pipette, or the eyedropper, as some people call it, but it's a pipette, isn't it? Because it picks things up. I think it's a pipette anyway. I always think when you pick it, it should stay, this thing should stay open. Any Blender developers watching, why would they be watching? But if only. Okay, remesh, that's not bad, but I think we'll go a little bit higher because there's no need to lose all our work. So we'll go 0.1. So that's sort of like the base level. That's not too bad. That's cool. A good start. So there's our base. We can flatten out the top. There is a flatten brush. Oh, there was that cool brush that they've been working on, wasn't there? I say they, Pablo. And that looked really good. But the flattened brush does an okay-ish job. It doesn't actually, does it? It really doesn't do a good job, actually. But it's because it's taking the normal. Is it the normals? The height from the surrounding. So it doesn't, the algorithm, I don't think, makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but I was watching Pablo's lecture, basically, on what does it call it? This is the sculpting brushes and how they're sort of put together, basically. So just very basically flattening out, so it's all sort of similar size. Yep, that will do. Oh, that one's a bit wibbly wobbly. It's a bit blobby, actually, that one. A bit blobby. Okay. About a couple of hours streaming today, I think. Yep, and we'll have a bit of fun with that. The mesh, it's looking nice already, isn't it? Look at that. It looks like some cool, rocky formation. There we go. It's what happens when you're just such a good artist. You can just come up with this stuff. It's amazing. I'm joking, by the way. That was obviously a joke. Okay, I want some rocks on the top as well. Actually, do I want that flat? I'm going to move it around and pull it around as well. Just having to see what people are commenting on. F to make that a bit bigger. Brigger? Make it a bit brigger. We do want some undulation in the top, but it sort of needs to be smooth because I'm thinking mossiness is going to go on here. Something like this. That's too far, isn't it? We'll see. We'll see how we go. Something around there, I reckon. Just having a look at my connection, all going well. Everybody happy? We don't want too timey-wimey, do we? More wibbly-wobbly is better. Yeah, so that's PureRef I was using where I've chucked the reference images on. I suppose, do people want to see what PureRef does? Shall I show you a bit about that? Would you like that? Yeah, perhaps the scrape brush would have been better because that would, but it scrapes it to the peaks, doesn't it? And let's just see what's. Milan, was that Milan who said that? You are quite right, actually. That would have been a better option. It's been a while since I've used the scrape brush, actually. Should have used that, although I was actually happy with what I had about there. But the scrape brush is a good one, isn't it? Hang on. Which is this one here. Because there's two scrape brushes now, and I can't see scrape and fill. In fact, what I'll do, bring those out so we can read them. Yeah, the fill brush is quite interesting, but the scrape brush, there we go. So let's flatten that out a bit. Flatten that out. Oh yes, I'm spending too much time on this already. Why am I'm just fiddling about, and there's no need. Okay, so I'm going to put my tree on top of here, and it's going to look wonderful. Yeah, okay, we're good there. So let's go back to layout mode, and let's start thinking about positioning my tree. Shift right click to put my cursor in the center, and I won't go for a cylinder once again. Shall I? I'm thinking best way. It doesn't really matter that much. I'll go for a cylinder actually, but I'll bring the polys down because we don't need it high poly at all. We need it about 12. Might still be too much actually. No, that's 12. We'll go for them. Scale it down. That's not right. No, scale it. Shift Z. Scale it in the Z. And let's bring it up above the surface. Okay, so I'm gonna have a tree trunk about here. But actually, I'm thinking, where's my front gonna be? Which is the best angle? I quite like this small one, but it's a little bit too much at the moment. I'm thinking maybe around here. So I want it off to the side here, and it's sort of going to grow over here. I mean, we could even have a sort of something which is sort of focusing our eyes. This tree trunk, a few of our mushrooms, toadstools, and maybe a few over here as well on a long sort of trunk. Something like that anyway, I'm thinking. We'll see how we go. Okay, so yeah, so I'll show you something actually, might as well. So into edit mode, and let's press face mode, 3 for face mode. I feel like I'm not doing very well at explaining myself. But let's delete that, faces. And let's try selecting the edge loop and go up to face and grid fill. So you can see why I've done that, because someone sort of pretending to cough is good stuff. So now I can do an inset and, well, actually I won't do that just yet because I want to grab and pull that upwards. Oh, I'm still in proportional edit. But because it's a quad mesh, it just makes it easier to handle rather than all those triangles in the middle there. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom because when I start sculpting the bottom, that will change and it'll all be good. So let's, so I was about here, wasn't I? Grab, oi, I thought I turned that off. Grab, scale, extrude, scale. That's not right. Doing a loop cut there. These bottom edges need to go way out, so we got some sort of tree trunky looking thing. Thanks for subscribing. I cannot pronounce that name though. Let's move these two that way slightly. I feel like maybe another loop cut in there. Don't have to worry too much about loop cuts at this stage because we're keeping everything very simple and basic. So I'm selecting some edge loops and just creating a trunk. Grab, rotate, actually sort of inwards like this. And then maybe a little branch going off here. I think that's going to look good. So let's select those two. Control plus is to grow your selection. That's quite a handy one, isn't it? Control plus. What's happened with that though? What has happened with that? Did I do that? I don't remember messing it up like that. I'll make this a bit flatter. But there we go, that's about right, isn't it? We'll make some cuts and things a bit later on, put it around a bit later on as well. Let's just go to proportion edit again and just add some noise. It's going to sort of come down like this because I want to be able to see from this sort of angle. I want to be able to see inside the trunk, so we'll grab it down. Inside the trunk? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Add some roots. Yep, they're coming, don't worry. Okay, so let's grab that face. Actually, that face there, we want them to sort of come over the rocks, but in between, as if it, because that's where it would grow. It wouldn't grow right on the edge here. It would find its way in between here, wouldn't it? Naturally, that's what they do. So control right click. We'll do some really rubbish extrusion. That sometimes happens, but that's just what you have to put up with. So control right click and scale it down. So it's very basic at the moment, but it's not looking too bad. And we'll do one more. Extrude. That time I just pressed extrude. Now there's ways of doing these. You could actually have sort of hair. What are they? Hair. The way they do hair is what I'm saying. Curves is what I'm saying. And it's the way they often do hair is what I was thinking there. I suppose I ought to do a grid fill on the bottom here. I'm going to isolate this shape. Delete that. Delete that. Press the wrong button then. Delete faces. Select that bottom edge loop, but it's not going to go all the way around. Is it two? Yes, it is. Oh, I thought it wouldn't go past those poles, but it did. And then up to face. So remember what's the command? Think about what the command is. It's face grid fill. There we go. And see, that's what I was expecting the top to look like, but I did something obviously a bit weird. I don't actually need to do anything apart from that, but grid fill, just so that when I start moving these edges around, we won't have a big end-on messing things up. Okay, out of isolation mode, let's move that face down. That's what I was thinking, because the end-on would have gone a bit weird there. I'm thinking I'm going to move this down as well. G to grab, there, and G to grab, G to grab. There we go. And control right click, but I can always scale these down. Probably easier in face mode though, isn't it? Select that, scale it down. It's interesting what's happening when I'm pressing control right click. It used to be really random, but these days it's almost as if it's snapping to the object. So maybe that's something they've added, because when we shift right click, the cursor does actually snap to object. So I wonder if that's something to do with it. Just having a look at what people are saying. No questions by the looks of things. Oh, black magic to be this good. Oh yeah, definitely. It's just too good, isn't it? Sorry to all those amateurs out there making you feel bad because I'm so good. Now it's an interesting one actually. Performance anxiety, and not performance anxiety. What's it called when you're faking it, and you feel like you're not good enough? What's that called? Oh my goodness, what is wrong with my brain today? So looks really nice. Thanks, Andy. Yes. What's that way? Imposter syndrome. That's what I was trying to think of. Performance anxiety, something completely different. That's what I suffer with when I'm live. But actually, I don't too much these days. I do actually get anxious about going live. So I'm thinking, oh, what if I do something stupid? And then I think to myself, you're bound to do something stupid, so just do it anyway, and they'll forgive you. Because you're a nice bunch, aren't you? But what's the other one I was saying? Imposter syndrome. So that's where you just don't feel like you deserve the job. So if someone hires you, you think they're going to find out that I'm not any good soon, and that's a sort of serious issue. It sounds like a fake issue almost, doesn't it? So you can see I'm just sort of moving these vertices at the moment. If you're wondering what on earth I'm playing at, just moving them into position. So it's a bit more of a circle. Yeah. So imposter syndrome. And you might find yourself coming up against that at some point, because lots of artists do. And actually, there's something else called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the more you start to know, the more you realise you don't know. So those people who don't know much and are shouting about how much they know, like YouTube people like myself, we don't actually know that much. But the more you know, then you're more likely to get the sort of imposter syndrome, because you realise how much you don't know about, like Blender. I mean, there's so many things that I don't know and I have to look up. That's why I get a little bit nervous when I'm going live, in case someone says, oh, why don't you just use the such and such tool? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what that is and I don't know what it is. So it happens to all of us, is what I'm trying to say there. A little chat about the imposter syndrome there. Imposter syndrome, that's what I'm trying to say. So let's see how we're looking with our tree. So it's going over there, and we want some coming out here as well, don't we? Oh, yes, we do. So we'll grab that. There's a few people commenting on my British accent. Was it another YouTuber, Wacom 3D, I think? And he was doing a live stream, and then he was mimicking my voice, how dare he, which I thought was quite funny. And someone from my Discord told me, so I thought I'd go and have a comment. But I think I think it's really important to talk clearly, which I'm not doing at the moment. But it's kind of helpful, I suppose, having that British accent, because that's the classic accent that people seem to associate when learning the British accent, the English language. So hopefully I'm sort of easily understood, and I actually work on my accent so that I don't drop my T's like I just did there, to try and make myself more understandable by everybody out there. So that's why I've got an outrageously posh British accent. Can you please take a pet bunny and call him Grand Rabbit? It's not a new one calling me Rabbit. And when I was at school, when I was teaching in a secondary school in particular, it was Mr. Rabbit, and it just became Mr. Rabbit. So it's quite a common one, being referred to as a rabbit in some way. And of course, these horrendously big front teeth I have don't really help, do they? Oh dear. Yeah, I know it's half an hour in, and I think my brain is always a bit fried. So do apologise. So I make these excuses that I'm a bit tired, but I'm just a bit crazy. That's all it is. Okay, so I'm extruding out here as well, grabbing, rotating. This is quite a handy thing to do. It's just when you're modelling, to keep modelling, and what am I trying to say now? I've lost. But like modelling this tree here with these tree trunks coming out all over the place. That one's a bit too thick though. But sort of extrusions and extruding around an object, because it really gets you to think about where and how you pull around your mesh, and gets you used to finding the angles, because can you see me move around and then think, right, from this angle I'll control shift and then create my shape, just because I have an understanding of the program, and I know that if I do it from this angle it will appear here. So just get used to these things, and it helps you be a better artist. I don't know if that made any sense, but maybe not much of what I'm going to say today is going to make such sense. So we'll see how we go. Right, so I did say this one needs to come down, because that's a fatty, isn't it? There we go. Scale that down. No, I don't want to scale in the Y, probably. I do want to scale in the Y, that's what I was saying. And scale in the Z. There. That's what I'm trying to do. And I mean, it probably needs a bit more going around the curve. We don't have to worry too much about polygons. But remember, when you're modelling like this, the more polygons you have, and I want to go down and do minor adjustments like this, the harder it's going to be. So watch out for that. And I know where the polygons are underneath there. Like, you can select them, even though they're not visible. You can sort of go in and select them. I'll scale that in a bit. So those roots come together like that. Really, I need another loop cut down here, because the loops, well, I can model that in when we start with the modelling. Shall I do one here as well? Yes, I will. Another root here, please. Thank you very much. Extrude that out there, so control right click, scale it in, control right click as we go down, and scaling as we go. So we're sort of getting there, aren't we? Are we getting there? Yeah, I think we are. I feel like there needs to be one here though. What do you think? coming down here, or are we just going overboard? I'm starting to think this isn't looking that great. And you see, that is the classic, there's that sort of artist's brain. I call myself an artist, but you often get that, don't you? You sort of think, actually, this looks rubbish as you're going along, and listen to that sometimes. Don't always listen to it though, because you can get sort of paranoid in a way about, oh, it's not looking very good, and then you sort of give up. But everything, just give it time. It gets better as you go along. I'm doing a loop cut down here, and then I'm going to get this face and extrude it down here. I shouldn't have done that actually. I did it my second one too early. So get your shape position right, and then control right click. So control right click. And now that's interesting. It didn't snap that time, probably because this one was too deep. So I'm going to bring this one out a bit. So I go to the top. So it's where you positioned, and it's perpendicular with the camera. Always trying to think about that when you're moving around your objects and making weird shapes like this. So this one can go and wrap itself under here. And E to extrude again, and scale. Just have a good look around. I mean, that one's a little bit skew-if. Skew-if, a different word there. But I think it looks like sort of a drunken tree at the moment. It's just, oh, I've just had enough. Doesn't it? It looks like it's just an octopus has just gotten a bit drunk and having a rest. That's what happens when, as an artist, you just change your mind about what you're doing, and then think, blow the client. Just say, oh, I did an octopus instead of a tree because I thought it'd be more fun. It's having loads of fun doing an octopus instead. It's just how you do it. Maybe don't have all the roots going straight down, just too uniform. Yes, I suppose we need some going across here. I was thinking, it's a tricky one really, because there's the Remesh tool, and then there's, I mean, I could use curves for that as well. I mean, would you like to see curves? I don't use curves that much, so it can be. I might do something stupid actually, and then get it all wrong, and then you'll all laugh at me, and I wouldn't want that, and I'll be very upset. Just having a look at what people are saying and what people are suggesting. I probably, because yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Do I use dynamic topology and start bringing some curves out with the what's it called? The snake hook tool, which can be just fine, and you can sort of have them all coming down here and around. Or do I build the mesh completely and then just keep doing the remesh? I'm tempted to go for dynamic topology, but I'm going to test something first. Yeah, coming through the rocks. Yep. I'll probably add those in later because they can be separate objects. I think it looks good like this. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. 1 for vertex, 2 for edge, 3 for faces. That's quite right. Let's see what people are saying. Oh, yeah, I did ask if anybody wants to see what PureRef does, but I can't see anybody saying that they do. So these roots are fingers. It's grabbing that rock. Don't worry, it's going to look awesome. Fried brain from my diet. Yes, indeed. Good to see you, Red Elixir. Yeah, I usually just mention that I'm streaming at the beginning of the day, sort of thing, or midday. So I'm never quite sure whether I'm going to be able to fit it in and things. So I ought to get a bit more precise. Definitely on a Friday, 4 o'clock. Sometimes on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Always on at 4 o'clock.
Ooh, well, thank you very much.
Oh, did someone donate? Oh, thank you very much. I didn't see that. Oh, thank you, Milan. I didn't see that. Oh, that's because I'm looking through the chat, isn't it? Yeah, much appreciated, as always, here. Often donating, it's really appreciated. And just having a quick look and making sure everybody's good. Well, you can always comment again if you really want to look at PureRef. Oh, show us PureRef, Grant. Okay, I'll save this. Save. And I'll start a new PureRef. So this is PureRef. I'll, why can I not right click? Let's, new scene. Okay, so PureRef is this little symbol down here, which you can't see unless I hide my text. So hold on. Hide that. And there, you can see my, so it looks like this, PureRef. So there's their logo and stuff. And I think it's just puref.com or something like that. Okay, and let's move this across to the side. Bring my cool little text box back. Love it. Oh, There we go. And let's come over to here and grab some images. What are we doing? Well, I'll do some more tree trunks. Can't ever have enough tree trunks in your references. Okay, so there we go. So there we go. That's a perfect one for me. It's rubbish. Shouldn't criticise other people's art like that. Okay, there's a perfect image. So, in fact, I might as well just load up my scene. Load recent. There's my tree trunk fancy, and bring this one in. So you just click on that to get the sort of full resolution, as it were. Although this one's struggling, and then you drag it in, and it's in there. It's cool, isn't it? And then you can move around this with middle mouse button. Middle mouse button to move around, middle mouse button wheel to move in, and you can see I've got lots of reference images here from different artists. When you're collecting references, always have real tree trunks and then have a look at what other artists have done to get some ideas. But it's always important to have the reality there as well. There's some toadstools as well. Should we go from some fun toadstools? It's toadstool on tree, that's even better. Okay, so I probably will have a few of these sort. So let's go and grab that. You can even be on a site as well. So they obviously don't want me to use this, so maybe I shouldn't be using ones that are. But to be fair, it's a reference image, isn't it? So yes, I can use that. I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Because you're putting it into PureRef, so you're downloading it in a way, but it has got all these things over it. So I don't think there's any issue there, is there? For goodness sake, I'm using this is a learning tool, so it's we're learning, so I don't have to worry too much about copyright. Is what I'm talking about. Another one there that's quite useful. It's all on Shutterstock, isn't it? Or stock photo. So this is Alamy. There we go. But lots of things are going to be stock photos, aren't they? So we've got a couple of shrooms or toadstools just there. So that should help us nicely. So that's using PureRef. Does that anything else? Masking on the shader editor. Yeah, I'll come into that because that will be in my Node school stuff, and I'll talk about masking and how that works. Well, it's sort of started it already because black and white images are masks. Black you won't be able to see, and white you will. What is thy bidding? Shaka. I want you to learn Blender today. That is what I am asking you to do. Okay, so I'm moving my PureRef. Is there any questions about PureRef? I love the Mimumi. I love your total there. That's cool. So that's PureRef, and you can now I can obviously move this with my right mouse button and move that onto my other monitor, so it's already there, and then I can move around, and it's always there for me to. And you can set it so it's always on top of things as well, but it actually gets a little bit annoying. You can set that or not set that. Cool. There's 2 T's for Abbitt, that's why it didn't come up for orange for me, but don't worry. Workflow for art created in Blender that you want to the print, 2D printing. You remember that ancient process. But yes, this is the sort of thing I'm doing today, doing some stylized 3D art that you could print out, but it's not, I mean, it could be used in a game if you retopologize properly, but I'll show you the retopology process anyway, just because we'll need to bring it down for texturing, and I'll show you a bit about that. I don't know if I'll manage it in 1.25 hours now, but we'll see how we get on, and maybe we'll do some more tomorrow perhaps, and we'll see how things are. Okay, so we got a bit of a tree trunk. I just need to extend this one down a bit. May not be seen, but we'll do that. And I'm just control clicking. It needs to come out a bit though, doesn't it? Grab there. And I just select the edge loops with Alt left click and move that out if I need to. I mean, that looks a bit wibbly wobbly again, doesn't it? So let's get this. I'll scale in the X because it needs to S and then X. So we got a bit more of a circle, scale it down, and extrude and scale right in. Okay, so I think that's possibly going to work. They look a bit thick, but they'll thin out later on. This one's a bit skewed, isn't it? But I'll show you a way you can sort that out later, but I suppose I can just grab those and drag them this way a little bit, and that should work. Good afternoon, Pedro. Is PureRef free? Yes, that's a good point. PureRef is free. It's a quick tutorial stream for PureRef there. I think I do use it all the time. It's a really great program and it's very helpful. Just moving these. Why am I moving those around? I don't need to. You know how sometimes you're sort of stalling and thinking, you just think, oh, I'll tidy the mesh up a bit, but if it's going to sculpting, there's no need. Okay, so it's roughly the same as my reference image. Now let's think about the construction and where the camera is going to go. Let's look through the camera and go view, lock camera to view, and think probably off to the side there. Interesting. So thinking about construction, what am I looking for? Think of the things that I'm looking for that are going to help me with this construction and composition, and thinking about how I can compose this in the best way. So just looking at my messages. A Flip Normal's Warlock challenge. I saw a bit of that, but I didn't really concentrate on what was going on because I don't think really I've got enough time for a challenge, but maybe I should have done a challenge on this instead. Maybe I'm a bit nervous of going in for a challenge actually, in case I don't do very well. I don't know. Yeah, always answering to comments. So try my best to. That's part of the fun. That's why I really enjoy streaming for the chat. That's my main thing. Which website got the best reference photos? Well, textures.com, you can actually use the textures, and they've got some references in there. But generally, I use Pinterest to find things because it's got a really great algorithm that you click on one thing and it finds similar things to that, and I find that really helpful. So composition. No one's said anything about composition yet. Go on, think about composition. What am I looking for? What am I thinking about? What are the just look up on the internet photography composition, okay, and look at what the rules are. Yeah, I suppose at the very least you get a portfolio out of it, a portfolio piece out of it. Indeed, I'm starting to think I'm probably going to cut down a bit on my freelance work actually, because I want to do more sort of my own thing, I think, but I don't know yet. I will see. Just having a look. I'd bring the rocks forward looking at that angle. The rocks forward. Rocks forward? So sort of move in, you mean? I do want to get the whole tree trunk in. I probably will put some little toadstools coming up around here and maybe some coming here. Actually, those sideways ones there and then pointy up ones there. That's what I'm thinking. Why am I going for either side? Have a think about that. Oh, sorry, I was thinking of moving the camera up to the right a little. So the camera's going up to the right, maybe that way, yeah. Oh, thank you very much, the Craden. Without a doubt, the best at effectively teaching Blender to anyone. Very personal too. Never stop, Grant. Thanks very much, I appreciate that. Thirds, it's always thirds with composition. Indeed, the rule of thirds, that's the one. That's one. Am I behind on the stream? Because that took a while for people to answer. In the next stream, 3D coronavirus. You shouldn't say that. I think CG Matter, I think, did a tutorial on how to make one. And there is apparently, it didn't do very well because...
Thank you very much.
Because YouTube is cutting that the words and the text and stuff, apparently. How do you charge for freelance work? I'll answer that in a bit. Remind me in a bit. I'm just we'll think about composition first, and then whilst I'm sculpting away, I'll talk about that. The roots should be in the middle of the scene, like this. I mean, we could go in that sort of direction because then we've got a bit of depth, leading lines. Because this is quite flat, isn't it? Rule of thirds, that's good. So you position your main element in one of the top thirds usually, or it can be the bottom third, but quite commonly it's the top third. Okay, so rule of thirds, it's important. Yes, CG Matter. Right there, you think. But I quite like this sort of depth thing. So the rocks are sort of slightly coming towards me, so we're looking into the photo. So think about depth in your photo and leading lines, things that lead you into the photo. This route here could be quite a good one to lead us in, especially if it's got some fungi on. Sorry, I couldn't help myself again to do the fungi joke, which has been done already, Grant. And then you move it back. You're not happy with me, Corey. Do you like that? Do you like that position there? When will your disk track response to CG matter surface? I'm not sure it ever will. Have a think. I quite like it from there because we're going into the image, but do other people prefer it from there? Because it's not hard and fast rules. You can break them and you can adapt them. Obviously, the rule of third, like in the middle here, we've got this blank space here, so it does make sense being off to the side. And I'll probably have some floating elements around this as well. We don't have to have the camera at landscape like this either. We can change the camera settings in our camera settings. Where are they again? They're here, aren't they? And we can change like the Y and make it a square camera. So if I go to 1920 with that as well, we could even make it portrait like this, and that could look quite interesting if it's got sort of floating particles around it. So it's worth thinking about, and it's worth thinking about the where you're going with it as well. So hang on, I've gone the wrong way. So is this going on Instagram for example, and things like that? So do think about those things as well. I'm just going to get it to a position where I am comfortable. I think somewhere around there. I often think about thumbnails, and I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be text to the other side, or I can flip it and there's text this side. Okay, so listening to your stream at work to absorb any info I can get. Good stuff. Oh, it's other people at work, and it sort of makes me worried having to be at work with everything that's going on. I'm a liking it. Oh, that is good, Corias. I hadn't thought of that, so that's a good one. You can have that dad joke. You made a lot of mushrooms lately, Grant. Do you know, I have actually had a lot of mushrooms. I do like mushrooms. It does explain why I have become such a... No, I'm not saying it. Oh yeah, there's composition guides, isn't there? Where are those composition guides? So choose the camera, click on the camera. I'm just going to escape because okay, click on the camera. Oh, I'm in edit mode, that's why I can't click on the camera. Click on the camera. And where do I go? Is there composition guides in here? Oh, under the camera, yeah? Where are they? Camera? I can't see any composition guides. Sorry, I should read what you said. Viewport display. Oh, it's in viewport display, is it? Where? I can't see it. And I would have thought view. I'm kind of interested because I remember seeing them before, but I can't see them now. Someone tell me where they are. I was expecting them to be in here somewhere. I expected them to be in here somewhere is what I'm saying. But someone's saying there. So, viewport display. Yeah, I'm in view. I thought that's where I was. There's object settings in there. Oh, I see. Object settings, then viewport display. Aha, okay. What have we got? What have we got? This isn't making any sense. Oh, this is my proxy thing from the scatter add-on. That's not helping me. Proxify, let's get rid of that. Viewport display. Nope, I can't see any. Anybody else? Camera. I've selected the camera. I'm in camera now. Okay, so there's viewport. Oh, why did I not see that earlier? Composition guides. I knew where it was all along. I was just testing you all, obviously. Thanks very much, guys. Okay, so we've got some cool things in here, haven't we? So where are we? Composition guides. There's the center one. There's the rule of thirds. Ta-da! So you can see I've positioned my tree trunk on the third, and it does work, doesn't it? These golden ratios, people love these. Oh, the golden ratio, that's slightly different. These ones, what I'm thinking of. These are quite interesting things. So with a few sort of leading lines, if we go down there, that's not really helping actually. Let's try that way. That's what I was thinking. Sort of leading line. Don't know. That's not working for me. These ones are weird, aren't they? I've got too many on now. There's too many. There's too many of them. Golden ratio. That's not what I thought the golden ratio was. It should curve round like this. Where's the... Oh, I'm disappointed. Blender, where's the golden ratio? It's supposed to curve round like this. You're supposed to have a shape that sort of curves round. Maybe I ought to be a bit more curvy here and go round. Anyway, so rule of thirds I think is our main one to focus on, so we can sort of see that there. I'll keep that on as well. These are interesting ones, aren't they? Cool. Okay, so it was a bit of a distraction there, wasn't it? How do I make tall buildings round or have no sharp corners? Bevel. Use the bevel. That seems the obvious answer. I'm not sure that's the best way there. Look at the beginning of the stream and how I made the cylinder here from a cube. That's the other way as well. Okay, let's keep going then. Is there lag, is it? Is there lots of lag? I'm sorry about that. Anyway, let's get on to sculpting now. Yep, let's grab on this, come out of camera mode, and let's just have a look around. That's all cool. What first? I think the tree trunk first. I suppose actually I ought to do the rocks first because that will that will make a difference to the position of the roots, and the roots are affected by the rock, so it should be rock first. So let's go to sculpting mode. Oh, I just maximised my screen. Don't know why that didn't do that. That's weird. Was it like that all the time? Was it down here all the time? Oh dear. And no one told me. Because there we had object has non-uniform scale. We had so if I go to sculpt mode now, object has non-uniform scale. So sculpting may be unpredictable. So Control A to set the scale. And let's go to item, and you can see it's set all to 1 now. Okay, let's go to sculpting mode and start thinking about the sculpt. Now at this point I can start upping the details. So remesh, and let's go to a lot smaller, 0.1. There we go, let's just see how detailed that is, and it's lovely and detailed, okay? That looks good. I'm just going to sharpen some of these edges up, and I think probably the scrape tool actually. Let's go for scrape. Yeah, let's do that. That looks cool. So sharpening these areas up. So, when I say sharpen them up, I'm sort of jaggedy edges is what I'm thinking. Makes sense. Oh, actually, there's that really cool rock thing, isn't there? That would be handy. There's my doorbell just gone, but I'm just going to leave it because they'll probably just go away. Oh, there goes my dog. Very excited. I think actually that's a friend come to use the washing machine because their washing machine blew up, but they can let themselves in. So that's all cool. So hopefully that's not a burglar who's just let the dog out. Get them, Frank. Frank is my dog's name. So just flattening these out. Oh yes, so I'm using graphics tablet. So yeah, I'll put the webcam on just so you can sort of when that dog shuts up. Can you hear the dog in there? And over the mic? It's pretty loud actually, so I'd be surprised if you couldn't hear the dog. You could model your dog too. I bet he would like it. Yeah, but he's not been a good boy at the moment, so he doesn't get to be modelled. Okay, so yeah, so you can see my tablet a bit there. It's a Wacom Mobile Studio Pro. And there is information on that in the description. You can do this with a mouse, but it'll take you a lot longer, and just get a cheap graphics tablet, and you can probably pick them up second-hand fairly easily. Someone was commenting today, or they were asking me which is better, is it okay to get a medium size and all this sort of stuff, and it was a Wacom One medium for 30 quid, and I thought, well, that's just a definite buy really, isn't it? Yeah, because it's so useful, so useful for texture painting and all this other stuff. I haven't got a mirror on, have I? I did turn that off earlier. Symmetry is off. So you can tell I'm not using Dyn Topo, so there's no need to use Dyn Topo. I can just keep using the remesh if I need to. So I'm just really basic flattening out at the moment because I have a plan for this. I have a plan. My dog just barked at the TV because he heard your dog barking. Love it. Love it. Right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's scrape some of these edges down now. That's looking cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think. How did I used to get that add-on working? Doesn't matter. Now, I've got some sculpting brushes which do a really good job on rocks like this, but this is pretty fine. I mean, I could up the strength. Can I know, is it the strength? There's, which is it? There is something in here, scrape and peaks. I can't remember. If I turn the normal radius up, what does that do again? Yeah, it's a bit more, but it's a soft, can you see that soft fall off? So the fall off is your stroke. So we've got a rounded, yeah, just so the rounded. So this is thinking of Photoshop is Photoshop brushes, so your brush head, but this is looking at the brush from the side. So you've got to think this is going up and then down, so your brush head. So if I have it like this, which is constant, that will be like it's a flat, like a marker. So see what happens here. It never quite works that well with constant. You'd think, oh, that would be just what you need, but actually you need just a tiny bit of a fall off. So, oh, that's weird. They've changed it. So I don't know how to change the fall off. How do I change the fall off? Custom will have to be. Oh, that's weird. I want to be able to use the... Oh, well, never mind. So just have a tiny bit of a fall off at the end, and then you still get that sort of smooth look, and it's quite nice. Does that make sense? Let me know if it didn't. Don't go too fast, because there is... What is that? That's the spacing or something, isn't it? So stroke... spacing. You bring it down, I think. So let's bring it down to 4%. Hopefully it won't lag too much, and I can go a bit faster now, and it doesn't cause me problems. And making some rocky coolness here. Looking at that, looking cool. Oh, that's a bit weird though, but that's fine because it's on the bottom. No one's here. No, because later on it will all make sense, because I'm going to use some alpha brushes, which will help me. How's it going? I should be working on the front more, really, shouldn't I? Because that's where we need to be able to see things. It's probably this normal radius. I think, is it normal radius that I'm thinking of that affects the sort of strength? I'm not sure. I think I'm not making much sense. I forget these things. I haven't done sculpting for a little while with this brush, anyway. Let's see. Keep up the good work, like it. Got a second-hand Wacom Intuos 3/6 time for $20. You see, that's great, isn't it? Wacom is the most trusted brand. They've been at it for a long time, so you can't really go wrong. I say that, but there's all sorts that can go wrong. And in fact, I sold a display tablet recently to someone, and they couldn't get it to work. It's drivers, your system, you never know what it is, and it's really difficult. So they had to return it, and all that faff of returning and things is a bit of a pain, isn't it? But I'm lucky to be sent them in the first place, I suppose, aren't I? So shouldn't complain. Okay, so we're sort of getting some smooth looking rocks, but I can also go to the draw tool, bring it down, and let's just, I'm going to go for a very sharp. Is that going to help? Yeah, that'll be good. And dig in with this one. But it's giving me that jaggediness. I just want to mess it up a bit, mess some of these areas, and dig in some of these areas. Am I making sense? Just to screw it all up, make it all horrible. Looks a bit weird at the moment, but you can easily smooth it out a bit, and it's fine. I suppose I can make the brush bigger and smooth it. Oops, that's not what I meant to do, smooth it out. There's a new smooth tool, isn't there, or something? What does it do again? That was quite cool. I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, that looks amazing. And you just forget these things. If you don't use them, you forget them. Oh, that's gone a bit. F to resize your brush, in case you didn't know. I suppose I need to up the spacing. Oh, the spacing. Oh, that's because it's the draw brush, yeah. So I need to bring this down to about 5% and then dig in. There we go. Yeah, when you change brushes, your settings aren't the same. I think you can set it so they are the same. I think that's mainly in size, though, and stuff. I never do myself because I don't worry too much about it. Just jaggedy rocks around the place. I'm spending a bit of time on them, and I think it will make a difference in the long run. Why not ZBrush? Because I'm using Blender. That's a fair question, but ZBrush is quite a lot of money. And most people come here to learn Blender. But ZBrush is really cool. There's no doubt about it. Blender isn't there yet, but it's coming for you, ZBrush, or whatever you like to be called. What do you think he likes to be called, or she? Don't know why I said that. That's just a stupid comment. Right. Just every now and again looking back here, seeing what's going on. Oh, there is a met cap, isn't there, where I can change the colours of different objects. That would be helpful, I suppose. If I, oh no, it all goes. What is that? Random, that's it, random, isn't it? There, cool. Love it. I don't like that one though. We'll go to that one, there we go. That's a bit better in some ways. I'm probably wobbling the camera a bit here, aren't I? Because I'm going quite quickly through this. Trying to just get some shape onto it. Slowly getting there. I suppose I could put the strength up a bit. Maybe not. Didn't actually put it up that much, really. Did I? Tiny bit. That's cool. Getting there, aren't we? Getting there. A slight shade of blue. That's, yeah, I'm always doing that with rocks, but I was actually, if we look at some of my references, there's some beautiful, if I bring it down properly, there's some beautiful browny coloured rocks there. Oh, they're grabbing my attention. I've actually thought about a colour palette for this. Did I put the colour palette in here? Oh, I forgot. That's weird. So I did save a colour palette. Let me just, yeah, there it is. There it is. Right, bring that in. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, that's a bit annoying when it does that. So I'll just select. Now, that's the one thing I don't know about PureRef. How do you resize images? That should be an obvious thing to do. The only way I've found so far is to select two and then go to images and normalize them. But and then normalize them by size, and then you've got one small one and one bigger one. Oh, it's just weird, isn't it? But that's what I'm thinking with my color palette at the moment. Something like that with some brighter blues as well, and maybe a touch towards the yellow. There's sort of yellowy greens in there as well. I really like the color palette of where's that? I've lost it now. That one there, but with a tiny bit more of these greens in. More sort of that sort of green. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, thank you very much, Milan. That's very kind of you to keep going with the donations. It's fantastic of you. Thank you very much. Anyone interested in visual effects?
Well, thank you very much.
I would love to do some more visual effects stuff, to be honest, but it's going to take a bit of time before I figure it out. Basically, I've done bits and pieces. And I did a lion in a sort of landscape and stuff, and that was, well, that's not visual effects actually. That's just matching up, putting live action, mixing footage, live action with computer CG and stuff. So it's not visual effects, but there's that thing, isn't there? If you look at the, actually probably not out yet, but we were discussing this the other day about Houdini to Blender. And CG Matter is testing it out, and there's some cool stuff you can do. Okay, so rock's looking okay-ish, and that's what this one looks horrendous though. So let's dig in a bit there, dig in a bit more there, dig in a bit more there. You could just keep going for hours, and it is quite nice and relaxing, to be honest. I was going to answer a question, wasn't I? To resize the image, Control-Alt and hold left-click to resize select image. Let's do that. Right, let's get this one. Control-Alt. Do you know, that's funny because I was trying lots of different things and I didn't try Control-Alt. What a stupid idiot I am. Thank you very much. Is that Red Elixir? Thank you very much for that. I feel rather stupid now not knowing that. But there we go. It's good to feel small every now and again, isn't it? But well done for making me feel small. Not knowing these things. Should know these things, shouldn't I? I'm going to do a few across like this. That doesn't seem to be working as well. Okay, so we've got a nice sort of shape. Ish. I need a bit more on the top. So it's got some sort of ridges like this. Yep, that's working. Well, I say that's working. I always sound a bit arrogant. I feel like I'm sounding arrogant. Yeah, you're doing really well, Groundsy. Nice work. Nice work, mate. But hopefully you understand what I mean when I say, yep, that's great. There we go. So we've got some sort of ridges there. Yeah, I think that's working. Okay, so now I'm going to use my alpha and see how we get on. So with the draw brush selected, you've got just check that. I'm just going to move my webcam, get rid of that. We don't really need to see the webcam. I mean, you can see what. Yeah. Anyway, so draw brush selected. You come down and down. Let's minimize these different things. So the brush settings, symmetry. Let's minimize that. And there is texture. There's a texture. You can use a texture. Now, what I like to do is bring out my window a bit. Oh god, that's the worst thing in Blender, is trying to get the window tool. There we go. Bring that out and bring out another window here. Oh, it's not easy, is it? It's slightly harder with the tablet because they're not. It's quite hard to calibrate them. Even the Wacom, it's quite tough. So getting those really tiny, minute, because it's not. Oh yeah, don't get me started on that. Yeah, it is visual effects, isn't it? Combining live action with 3D scenes. So yeah, don't know what I was talking about there, Milan. Thank you for correcting me. Manta Flow, I'm not touching that yet. I'll be there soon. PureRef, yes, we're using PureRef. Don't be feeling stupid. You are always teaching us things. Let us teach you things from time to time. And don't worry, I had to look it up, how to do it. Do you know, I should have just looked it up, shouldn't I? Yeah, so I suppose if you're ever going to do live streams, you've got to just not think too highly of yourself, because you're always going to look silly at some point, aren't you? There's no doubt about it. So that's what my belief anyway. So here's my texture. It's got no texture, and this is the default at the moment. So it's the same way as painting. So we were talking about that in the last tutorial. I think we've talked about that before on live streams as well. So we can create a texture to use for our brush. So new texture. I'll give it a name. It's going to be Rock One. I'll call it Rock One. Okay, and immediately my texture panel, which is down here for anybody who needs to find it, it's down there, and I've just opened up a window so I can see it straight away. So there's the normal tools and there's the texture down here. See, they're the same. So I've opened up a new window on the texture, and it's called Rock One. So I know I'm on that brush. Now I can find an image. So image or movie. I could use some clouds and then watch the clouds update there. And now I've got a cloud brush. Well, we'll use the cloud brush for this moment. The way I could paint with this now. Let's press F, and if I start painting, you can see it makes that, which isn't actually that bad. It's the undo. It sort of does 2 steps for some reason. There's also, you could do marble as well. Would work quite well here if I put some distortion on it. Where's the turbulence? That's probably it. That might work quite well as well. Not really, actually. Not really. Oh, that's some rock, that, isn't it? But we're there, and then it gets rid of it again. Okay, so what I want is image or movie, which is already by default. Press open, and I'll go to my brushes. You get to see all my brushes when my computer stops crashing. Oh, that's the point, isn't it? Let's cancel that. Save my work. File, save as. Right, where are we? This is where I'm saving my work. So this is what I'm doing. If I'm clicking away on another screen, but you might be thinking, what's he up to? Call it One, because that's the best way naming system. One. When I'm doing things like this where I'm just having fun, I don't worry too much about naming because my folder is named. So that's how I'll find it, hopefully. That is bad practice, actually, isn't it? That's just naughty, isn't it? How to use the cloth brush in the best way. I haven't actually used the cloth brush yet, so it's on the cards, definitely. I might well be the Craden doing these streams more often. I may well do one tomorrow. I'm supposed to be at college tomorrow, but I was thinking, why not do a stream instead? Because college is closed, but why not do an online lesson? And then you guys can all join in if you're interested. But I'll probably be doing that for most of the day. We'll see, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'll have a lunch break and then do one. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. We'll see how we go. It does depend on my internet connection as well, because that is very up and down since someone in the household got a PlayStation 4. 5, PlayStation 4. What version of PlayStation are we on now? Anyway, that's what I love about Streams Grant. I had no idea that you could do that. You've always learned something new, cool stuff. Until we get to Final Project, Final Version 2, definitely Final. Haha. That's so true, isn't it, Mike Evans? Evans. That is exactly what I do all the time. select face. What's Bolidos 3D? What are you talking about there? Press Control N and select flip. Yes, reverse normal. So are you answering someone else's question, I think. Anyway, is it PS4, is it? Or PS5? Are we on PS5? I don't know what we're on. I ought to keep up. I keep up with the artwork and the games. I'm always interested in that. But what consoles and stuff, yeah, I have no idea. I know a few about games and stuff that are coming out and things. Like Witcher 3, I heard. There's Witcher 4. They might be working on something like that. What are they called? Red. Oh, what are they called again? CD Projekt Red. Oh, whatever. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, I can't believe that I have my tablet flat on my desk this entire time. Putting it up at an angle is miles more comfortable. Never thought of that. So display tablets are much nicer like this, but actually I'd use a graphics tablet flat. It depends. It depends what you're comfortable with and what you're used to as well. Thank you, Veverix. Can't set the stream to 1.5. I like that. Yeah, that. I suppose if you join late, you can always set it to 0.2 or something. Not 0.2, 2. I often watch people's tutorials in 2 because there's just some nuggets that you want to grab, isn't there? I'm sure people do that the same with mine. Okay, so let's we're going to open and find our brushes now, aren't we? So in Blender, there's Blender folder, and I need to where are they? They are in order. I thought for a moment they weren't in alphabetical order. No. Anyway, so here are all my brushes, and I've got a nice lot. Some of them are just random ones from the internet. Some are ones that I've made myself, like this sort of the tree texture. Can't remember why I made that. But yeah, rocks. This might work. I tried sometimes making my own alpha brushes, but they don't always work. It's quite a hard thing to do. Not always easy. If we scroll down, there's some really good ones. This is from textures.com. That's the best place for them. They are absolutely fantastic. This one I use quite often. So let's so you can see all my, and people are going to say, where do you get your alphas from? I actually have a video of several good sites, but it's quite old now. Just look up alphas on my channel, and you'll find it, and that will link you to lots of CG Project Red. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so let's choose that one. So it's in here, and it should pop in here. It's tiled at the moment, so it'll look like this. Not very good. So we can go to, there's a stencil, but there's the best one, I think, is, what is it actually? That's not what I'm expecting to happen. Oh, it's because, does it matter if it's tiled? I think it's random actually. I want random. But it's under the stroke method. Sorry, I was getting confused there. It's been a while since I've done this. And it's anchored, because you can do this. And that doesn't look great at the moment. But when I bring the strength down to the brush, up here, probably about 0.2 actually. And then what happened there? That's weird. Oh, I undid it, didn't I? And then went. It's that weird undo thing. Airbrush one, anchored. It's not working for me because I'm back on tiled. So random with anchored. So random, anchored, and we get some rocks. Now I could have just done this from the start. You're probably thinking, but I actually wanted to create some randomness in here, create some shape to start with, and then put these on with this technique. Don't go too far with this. It will kind of destroy your image quite quickly. It's surprising. And obviously, in order for this to work, you can't really use this with Dyn Topo, but you need to remesh so your mesh is quite high. Can you see mine's about 1 million polygons, 1 million tries or whatever? So it's pretty high. Pretty. I would say pretty. It's dropping my T's. I don't want to do pretty high. See, that looks too uniform now, you see. I don't like that. So I'm going to go a bit smaller here and sort of have some bit more detail in there, you see. That's better, isn't it? I'm just going around with a basic sort of brush like this just to edit the shape. I could go the other way as well like that. There's a bit more variation in the shape. Varying the size as well, as you can see. What was I saying? So yeah, it needs high poly count and just having a look really. Is that okay? High poly count and I've said that, didn't I? That's all Okay, so let's get some more brushes. So you can add a new one. So I can press the cross here, but it's still there. So if I press on the checkered pattern, it's still there, but I can add a new one. Let's find another texture. Go to brushes again, and this time. Here's some I tried to make myself from a texture, and they need to be quite blurred, and it didn't work that well really. Let's try this one here and see why it didn't work well. So it should be on the same setting. Can you see it's hitting the edges and not doing very well because of the fall off for one? So the fall off of my brush, I'm going to undo that and it's going to disappear, isn't it? Oh no, it didn't that time. So let's go back to fall off. Just minimize the texture, fall off, and go to the default, which is smoother. So I was thinking about a few things there. So there we go. You can see what it's doing, not much. And then if I up the strength, it sort of works actually, doesn't it? It's not awful. It sort of works. And we could create some jaggedy rocks there. It sort of half works. But that's one I created myself, a sculpting brush. You can add just a bit of noise if you want to. Not too much though. It does. Rocks do have sort of shiny areas as well, so I might want to smooth some areas out. Now what this is missing is sort of those sharp cracks really, isn't it? So you can again get a different brush. So let's choose a different brush. Where's my brush is gone? Texture. There we go. And new. What did I do? Yeah, new. I don't know why I did it that way. Go to open and find my brushes again. And let's find a sort of sharp one. Now there's quite a sharp one there. There's even a crack there, so we could even try some cracks in the rock. Let's try that open image and see what that's going to look like. Okay, so now we're running out of polygons. So if I press that in, we've not really got the polygon power. So at this point, you may want to go a bit further. Let's save your work first though, save as. Sculpt my own face. I did once actually. It was in my old portfolio, but I think I got rid of that because that was 4 years old now, I think, and it looked pretty dreadful. But yeah, sculpt my own face. It's not that exciting. My face isn't really that exciting. But I suppose you could do some fun stuff with it then, can't you? If you sculpt your own face. But yeah, so I was going to remesh, wasn't I? Where's my remesh gone? It's over here, isn't it? I've got too much space. I was going to try and pull these backwards, but can you see how difficult it is to select them? Oh, very tough. There we go. Right, so there's the remesh option. Right, so let's just click on this and see what it is. Sometimes so it's not quite 0.1. It's 0.009. So if we change that to 0.008. Now watch my computer struggle. Is it going to struggle? No, it did all right. And you do lose some detail there. And you can go in and see. It doesn't seem to have done that much actually. That's not done a good amount, has it? So maybe we'll go a bit more detailed than that. I suppose I could actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that remesh. Where are the brushes from? I knew someone was going to ask that. So I have a video where there's links in the description to alphas, but I can't remember where they all come from. But the best ones are these rock brushes from textures.com. Okay, so I undid that, didn't I? So remesh. Let's try. Much better. We'll go for 0.006. A little bit worried about that. Don't know how detailed that is. I haven't gone quite this far before actually, so I don't tend to go this far with my stuff. I haven't had to recently. Okay, so we're near 4 million now, so it might chug a bit, but it's looking a bit better, isn't it? And weirdly, I'm not sure I like this particular rock alpha. So I don't like the fact that it goes sideways as well like that. Not sure. Okay, so let's choose a new one. New one's here. You don't actually have to press the cross first, but there's a new thing here and it'll create a new brush for you. Okay, so it's create a new brush, open one, and let's try and find a more sort of sharp line that will work better in my opinion. I was going to go for that one. That looks quite good. I think there's some others in here as well. Go further and further down. There. That's the one. That's the one I'm after. Can you hear the people in the background? A friend has come around to borrow the washing machine and things because their washing machine blew up. But I don't know whether you can hear all the chatter and things. Is that coming out? Yeah, there wasn't a blender today. Yesterday was there. I was surprised at least. I would have thought there'd be in a message at least. But I suppose they have to go in to work for that, so that would be the reasoning there. This isn't working as powerfully as I'd hoped. It's quite an interesting brush, this one. It's not how I was hoping it would work. Now, is that because of my brush setting? Because there's a few things to change, isn't there? There's obviously the mapping, but just to keep that one random, that's fine. We've got anchored, that's good, but we've also got, where's it gone? The fall off, and you can obviously change this. I used to take the constant and customize it, so let's just go there and bring that up a little bit. I'm not sure that's going to make a difference, to be honest. No, it isn't. Yeah, it doesn't quite work for me, that. Not enjoying that brush. Can you see how blurry it is? I think maybe that's it. It needs to be a tiny bit sharper. They do need to be blurred. You can't just use any old image. It just doesn't work. It makes really jaggedy images. They need to be blurred. And that's the way you can make your own alphas, is by just finding one and blurring them. I can just, because I'm not going to use this brush again, I can just open here and change that brush over for something else. So let's go to there's a really sort of fine line one there. I should just give that a try. So it's swapping it over for that one. So you can see it there. Still unanchored. It's interesting. That's not working either. I mean, to be fair, the rocks don't look that bad. Maybe I should just not worry too much. I'm going to up the strength a little bit. It's kind of cool. These sort of straight lines are sort of working. Just to sort of really indent these things. Can you see it sort of, because rocks have a sort of natural grain to them, do you find? Do you find, I don't want them saying that like that, Phil, but I find they have a natural grain to them. So if I get my reference images, you can see there sort of a natural sort of grain, and this one a natural sort of lines going across, and yeah, that makes sense. How come you look at tries rather than verts? It doesn't make a lot of difference. It's just I'm used to sort of faces and tries and stuff rather than verts. Not sure why that is. It's just what I sort of have in my head. But I know sort of gamers, game developers and things would look at verts more, won't they? So I'm just going to go around my mesh like this. Good, thank you, Yeetus the Fetus, Ganglord, whatever you call yourself these days. Doing well, thanks. Good to see you too, Justin. Just having a look whilst going around doing some mundane lines here, seeing what people are saying. Don't even need to really look at the screen for this, just to dig in some shapes, some lines, giving it some lineage. Our links are allowed in the chat. Do I need to set something up for that? Actually, have I got any mods on today? I don't think I have. Where's my settings? Chat settings. Settings, live stream settings. No, I don't think they're allowed by YouTube, unfortunately. So, yeah, sorry about that. I wonder if there's if anybody knows a way that, oh dear, that's not good, that I can set that up so links are allowed, because then people can share links to the alphas, and I'm sure you'll all do it responsibly, won't you? You won't be putting naughty links in there for any reason, will you? But I think that's why YouTube doesn't allow it, basically, because they don't want any naughtiness. None of those shenanigans. Okay, so we're sort of getting there. Hopefully these aren't a complete mess. Well, they are a bit, aren't they? I mean, if you have a more powerful computer and you're not live streaming, you can probably go up to 10 million. If you, this is a 4th generation i7, so it's getting old now. I'm in the market for a new one, looking around, but I kind of want to wait till the what is it? The what's it called? RTX 3000 series comes out. Actually, I don't want that. That's interesting. Not what I expected to happen. These are quite deep, these are, so they might be messing up my mesh a bit too much. Hopefully I haven't killed it. I better save as a new file, so save as, and just give it a new, so I'm on 3 now. Only moderators and you can post a link. Okay. Who wants to send? Who is it that was asking about the link again? Tyler, have you got a link to share? Have you? Would you like to be a mod? Hello, Paul. Nice to see you on here. Yeah, we got lots of people. 315. That's quite a lot, actually, isn't it? All missing Blender today, yesterday. So, had to come here instead, you poor things. Yeah, okay, I'll make you a moderator so you can... I'm assuming you're going to share a link on Alpha Brushes, aren't you? There you go. You're now a moderator. And you can stop any bots, if there's any nasty botses. Botses, no one likes them. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's sort of getting there, isn't it? I could try some more brushes. I mean, you probably want me to move on a bit. Is this all right? I mean, it's... I feel like it needs a bit more creases around the bottom here. So F, I'm using the crease brush, just sort of creasing it together a bit. I suppose with the crease brush you can actually make this really sharp, can't you? Yep, and turn up the pinch, which is quite cool. Whoops, about there, strength. Yep, there we go. So I've made it really sharp, so sharper lines. So control obviously will come outwards, and just brushing normally will go in. So I can sort of modify these shapes a little bit and maybe come around and make these a bit sharper around the bottom here. I feel like these need a bit more. Yeah, that's not great though, is it? That's not the right brush. Now there's a really cool set of brushes, but it's an add-on and I don't know whether it still works, and I probably need to update it. The multi-plane pinch, no I haven't. That was something I saw recently as well. That was looked really cool, but I haven't. I should have actually had some experiment today, shouldn't I? That would have been interesting. So I should have gone to the sort of newer version of Blender, really, shouldn't I? So let's look at the camera angle again. So we're looking about here. I mean, those rocks aren't looking that great at the moment, really. I don't think myself. A bit disappointed. I mean, I could, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? You'd sort of end up working for hours and hours on these things. Right, so let's have a look. Edit. How do I load those in again? Oh, silly dog. Because I've got those brushes from... In fact, I don't think they're going to work, are they? Because they're for earlier versions of Blender. I haven't used them for ages. Orb brushes, they're Orb, this guy from... what's he called? Blizzard, that's the word. And he created some brushes for ZBrush originally. God, man, can't think. But someone turned them into Blender brushes and they were quite cool. So just sort of creating some variation in the rock just around here. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's not quite how I want, but maybe I'll sort of work on that later because I need to move on, don't I? And move on to the tree trunk, which will be fun. Okay, so slightly different approach to the tree trunk. I suppose I ought to... I'm trying to think. I should have... Before going to high poly, I should have probably set... I should have started on the tree trunk, really, because then I don't need to go high poly on the tree trunk and have that in the scene at the same time. That's where the multi-resolution modifier is really cool, because you can have sort of different levels, but it's not quite working with the remesh and things at the moment. I don't know if I'm making sense there. Yeah, no, I probably could have penned them, couldn't I? That's very true. I pen the brushes. That's probably the best way, isn't it? From the blend file. Is that how we used to do it? I can't remember now. It's been so long. They do work, do they? Taco Dado Noku, happy birthday to you. It looks better in the image on the right. Yeah, that's my dodgy concept art. But it's not quite how I envisaged it. But yeah, I probably need to move on to the tree trunk anyway. So let's select the tree trunk, go into sculpt mode and non-uniform scale. So let's go back. So I've got that error message down here. Can you all see that? So I need to Control A, set the scale. And that sets it all to 1. Now I want to go into sculpt mode, don't get the error message, and I can start sculpting. But we need to remesh it first. So let's just have a quick remesh of 1. Oh, there we go, finished. Job done. I think I want to go a bit higher than that. Remesh of 0.05 probably. That's 0.5, so that's not going to work. 0.5, remesh. There we go, that's looking okay. And we can just mess with the shape a little bit, like round here definitely needs a bit of work, doesn't it? I'm still on the crease brush though. Oh, obviously, yeah, so I need to, I've got my texture on, so it's going a bit weird at the moment. Let's just see where we are. We've got the fall off there. So there's the texture. I can just press the cross on it, and now I'm back to normal brush. I thought it was anyway. But I'm on, I'm on the anchored as well. Sometimes I set up 2 different brushes with those on, and I should do really. But back to space. And now we're back to normal. So I can sort of round these out a bit. The inflate brush is really useful here as well. So you can sort of inflate bits, so smooth them out and then inflate, and they sort of just go rounded after a while. So this one here, for example, I can sort of inflate that a bit, smooth it out a bit. Ooh, I probably need to inflate it and then remesh actually. So inflate there, smooth those edges. It's starting to look a bit better now, but still not quite there. And yeah, if ever you sort of smooth out, oh, that one's gone a bit weird, that one has. So smooth that one out, but it goes thinner and thinner, then you can inflate it. So smooth it out and inflate it. So that's why I've got that inflate brush set. Oh, there's some sort of glitch there, look at that. Not sure what that is and why that's happening. A remesh might sort that out, so I'll try that. Just do a remesh again. Yep, I did. Remesh, love it. It's pretty cool really, isn't it? I'm digging this area in a bit because it's a bit too chunky. I'll just isolate it for a moment because yeah, I thought for a moment that's going to be all over the place, isn't it? Smooth this out, dig it in. I think it's going into itself. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's because I'm using the inflate brush. I'm just smoothing it out at the moment, so smoothing these brushes out. See how it goes really tiny at the end? You can just use the inflate on it. I used to be able to just use the inflate on it. Oh, if I go to the inflate brush, that would help, wouldn't it? There we go. There we go. Because that's what happens a lot with the smooth tool. And let's just get the grab brush there, and just pull that in so it goes over. And bring my rocks back to make sure I'm just in the right lines. Okay, so we smartened that up a fair bit. That's good. What are people saying? Make a copy and decimate the copy and hide the high poly. Blooming good idea, Corey. Thank you very much. That's a very clever idea. So let's go back to layout. That's what Corey's saying there, and it's a very clever idea. I'll just save this quickly. File, save as, and give it a +1. So that's 4 and 4. Usually and at this point I'm going to say tree, because then I know I've started on the tree. Because if I need to go back, I know kind of where I am. But yeah, let's select this one. Duplicate it, which might kill my machine in itself. So Shift D to duplicate. And I've just set it there, so I'll get the outliner up. And where's the outliner gone? Why can't I see the outliner? It's all the way over here. There we go. So I've got 2 now. So there's cube and there's other cube right on top of each other. I ought to call this tree. Tree. And these are going to be rocks. I suppose I ought to call them rocks HP for high poly. And then we got the last one, which is rocks low poly. And that's going to be my decimated version. Rocks. LP. Forgot. I'm sort of forgot everybody's there. Just working away, thinking about this. Do you think you miss out much sculpting in Blender rather than other programs like Maya? Maya, I don't think I think Blender sculpting might actually be better than Maya. I'm not sure though. They still have a sculpting thing in Maya. I don't know. It's been a long time since I used it. I definitely think I'm missing out compared to ZBrush. where am I? What was I doing? Yeah, high poly. So that's the rock high poly that I can hide in the viewport, and rock low poly, then I can decimate. So we can come in here, add modifier, decimate. It'll take a few seconds, so I'll just save the work again, file save, and put this on 0.1. So I know it's going to be, keep its shape pretty much, and apply. And whilst that's happening, I can chat to you on the stream. It might, the stream might die for a second because my computer's going, "Whoa, what do you mean decimate this? I can't possibly do that." But it is a bit too much for it. Why your scrolling text is so small? It is very small, isn't it? I don't know what happened there. How did my scrolling text get so small? Oh, that is very disappointing, isn't it? It's there we go. That's better, isn't it? Don't know what was going on there. Good question. Amanita mushrooms somewhere. I don't know what Amanita mushrooms are. Are they something special shrooms, are they? Did I apply this? So you can hardly see any difference. It's quite amazing, really, isn't it? The decimate, and that would be 300,000. So I can actually go lower than that. Well, I'll just apply it because it'll sort of just speed everything up, and that'll be fine. Mine used to have sculpting, didn't it? But yeah, I don't know. I'll decimate. You'll see what that does in a second, actually. So basically, in fact, I won't be able to show that because I won't be able to show you the original. But it's taken the really high poly mesh and done this to it. Put loads of triangles everywhere and tried to figure out the best algorithm to sort of turn it into a lower poly model. And that's what decimate does. It literally decimates the mesh and kind of destroys it. I mean, I could make this even more low poly, and I might use decimate actually, which is a bit naughty because it's not the best. But you can use it. I mean, I could have used the remesh option actually. I hadn't even thought of that. Just use the remesh. But yeah, does a sort of similar thing to decimate. Decimate is probably better than remesh for this sort of task, whereas the remesh will go for quads all over, and that's not always the best way. It's not a retopology tool. Neither is decimate, to be honest. But it can be used in its. It shouldn't be, but it can be. I can decimate again and go even lower. And let's. Oh, I'm in edit mode though. Why is it saying face count 0? What's going on there? Let's try that again. Rock slow poly. Yep. Decimate. Oh, there we go. So bring that down. Oh. To 100,000 faces. It's still really high, so let's try 38,000 faces. Oh, where's my mouse gone? What happened there? Nice of you to join us, Alan, by subscribing. So let's go to 0.1 here. There we go. So it's 40,000 now, and you can see that really decimated it there. So I apply that, and then I've got a nice low poly to work from, as you can see there. But it still keeps its shape pretty well. That's what's great about the decimate. But if I were to remesh this, let's go to sculpt mode and remesh. So let's just see roughly what size that is on the remesh. So 0.19. So I'll put it to 0.2 and remesh. You can see that sort of quads doesn't really do it justice, whereas the decimate did because it leaves bigger gaps and stuff. So I'll undo that quickly. So that it's surprising, really, isn't it? So there we go. There's the. Well, the remesh went loads lower. That's quite weird. High poly was better, yeah. Don't worry, I'm going to keep the high poly and bake it on as a normal map later on. How are we doing for time? I was expecting to get a lot further than this. I just chat too much, don't I? That's the problem, isn't it? Okay, I need to be sculpting this now, don't I? Sculpting my log. So let's just grab it into position a bit. Maybe come down here, up here, because the roots, they tend to sort of dig into the mesh a bit. They sort of come out, don't they? And then you have crevices where the roots aren't. That makes sense? Hopefully that makes sense. You can, if I want to do dine topper, which I did want to experiment with actually, I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit. Because I was thinking, yeah, I just can't help myself but just tidy that up a little bit. There we go, just a touch. Probably do a remesh in a second again. This one is a huge trunk. There we go, just slowly getting there, aren't we? Really looks like an octopus now, wrapping its tentacles around. Yeah, now these obviously need a lot of work because roots aren't so uniform, are they? But we will get there. That one's still really fat. So I'm stretching it out, but I was thinking of going to Dine Topo. But last time I went to Dine Top and tried to go back by remeshing, it really messed up. And I know there are issues there. There definitely are issues. And you can just keep remeshing. It's quite clever. So I can remesh again. It'll sort of remesh that position and sort it out in a way. It's a pretty clever tool. I'm afraid you need to do remesh manually. Try a few automatic options and all are equally bad. Yeah, when you're sort of retopo, you mean? Yeah. There's a few cool tools that help. Instant mesh is one of them. It's not bad, does a good job, but it doesn't do a great job. Right, let's start working on this trunk. I should get my reference. I haven't really been using my reference images at all yet, so I should have been doing that. See what this one looks like. Yeah, there we go. So I want to sort of sharp a trunk around here, so make my brush a bit smaller. That's not a sharper trunk, a fatter lip. That's what I'm trying to say. So it comes out. So can you see it's awkward for me to move around because my center point's somewhere over here, not on the trunk. So Alt middle click, that will help you. And let's bring this out. And this in. And it's sort of getting there, isn't it? So we're slowly getting there. I'll tuck in under there, so all that. That's better. And we're slowly getting there. That's right, everybody's stuck inside. Nice time to learn some Blender. That's what I thought. Get on the live stream. Say hello to everybody. Might be doing the same tomorrow. Some in the morning, some in the afternoon, because I'll be sort of sharing lessons with my students because they're unable to come into college. So if you're a college student and you're on here at the moment, any of my students on here? I don't know that they've even subscribed to my channel. I'll be doing a stream tomorrow instead of the lesson. So that's my plan anyway. I'm going to just check that with my school people and make sure they're happy with that, because you never know, they might not like the idea of that for some reason. I don't know, it's always a bit funny, isn't it? No, it's unprecedented territory that we're in here, isn't it? So they might think, well, that's not linking my channel with my college. They might not like, I'm sure they won't mind. I'm just having a look what people say. What am I actually doing? I'm making a log that's sitting on a rocky mountainside sort of thing. It's a tree trunk and it's sort of a floating island, and it's still going to be 3D art. There's going to be some mushrooms, there's going to be some moss and grass and things like that, which is going to be cool. So I'll probably do some simple lessons tomorrow. So tomorrow's stream in the morning will probably be what I would have done with my students in the lesson, which is some sort of game asset, and I'll try and do that as quickly as possible, and then they've got to try and mimic it. And you can join in, you can try and do the lesson with me if you like, and you can ask questions, and we'll treat it like an actual lesson, like I'm at school. You might find that fun. So it won't be so much of me going as quickly as I am here, even though I'm not going particularly quickly, I must admit. Why is it not digging in properly? Not to worry. I'll get that in a second. But yeah, I'll send it to my Discord and then you can use it as a background if you like, certainly. What was I saying? I probably need to do a remesh there to get this working. That's squishing together weirdly, actually. I suppose that's because it's not doing the Dyn Topo. I expect it to work like Dyn Top, and it's never going to, is it? I probably need to use the... So I'm still getting used to a little bit the tools here. Anyways, I was talking about what I'm doing tomorrow, wasn't I? So the mesh looks dreadful now, but if we just remesh, it tidies it up. It's good stuff, isn't it? So if you want to join in with an actual lesson, you can follow along if you like. We'll try and do a bit of a follow along. I don't know whether that's going to work or not. There might be too many people to follow along with, but I'll be doing that in the morning. Probably around 10 o'clock. Yeah, I reckon. Probably, I say that. Not definite yet, because I've just got to check that with college and things. Remesh. So every now and again I'm remeshing because it's stretched and all weird, so it'll just remesh it into shape. And can you see it's starting to look a bit like a log? I feel like it needs a bit of character coming in there. That didn't quite work as I was hoping. The rock is flawless. It is actually the floor. Way. But I think it's got a long way to go. This is the low poly, so the high poly, I feel like it has loads to go. So let's, there's the high poly, and I don't know, it just doesn't quite. Yeah, I'm rushing a bit. That's the problem. But it will look good when we got a few normal maps on there, and but weirdly, this looks slightly better, and it's decimated. When you go in, it looks dreadful. But I could just paint on that, and it'll be fine. Maybe I'll do that. Right, what time zone? I'm almost to 6 o'clock. 10 a.m. mystery time. GMT. I'm in the UK. I was actually going to suggest to share some of your students' lessons if you had a chance. I have 4 middle school and college students home for next few weeks, and we enjoy your channel. Cool. Yeah. Hop on the stream tomorrow. Probably around 10 o'clock GMT, and we'll see how we go. I'm saying that. Hopefully it'll be all right. It'll certainly be fun, won't it? Right, let's remesh this a bit higher now. Oh, was it 0.5? Has it always been 0.5? Yes, it has, yep. Thought it was a bit bigger than that. So we'll go 0.1 now. 0.01, I'm saying. Remesh. Oh, bit of a lag there, but I think we're there now. Yep, so it's a lot more detailed now. As you can see, when I smooth, you can tell how suddenly it's gone all detailed. And that's cool. That's what we want. So just quickly sort of smooth it out. So I'm sort of happy with the shape. You do that when you're happy with the shape. And now we can give it a bit more structure, I would say. Oh, I've still got some weird brushes on, haven't I? So let's have a look what's going on with my brushes. Spacing's good. It'd be the fall off. So there's the stroke and there's the fall off. And it's still on this weird custom one, so I can change that back. I quite like the sharp one sometimes. You can get. I suppose they've got draw sharp now, which is quite interesting as well, haven't they? So it's got this option. Well, that's actually quite nice, to be honest. So yeah, just pressing down and you control to. With the draw sharp, it does the reverse. It's on the reverse settings. It's a nice brush, that actually, isn't it? Thanks for subscribing. Can't pronounce your name. But that's cool. So following these down, just creating some variation. Oh, that shouldn't have done that. I held down control then. How dare they? Yeah, I'm holding down control. And it's doing the opposite. That's because I might change that around actually. You can do it like that, add, and because I'm thinking it's the draw brush when it's not. So when I hold down control now, it will dig in. And that's what I keep expecting it to do. So I'm thinking, what's going on? What's going on with this? Now I've got it the wrong way around still. Right, go inwards. Inwards, there we go. And come outwards, there we go. That's better. Right, let's quickly remesh again. I'm just going to save at this point. Every time you remesh, it's probably a good idea to save. I'm just going to add one because I've made quite a few changes. So I'm on 5, tree 5. That's what I was going to do. I was going to do the mushrooms lighting the scene. That's exactly it. I'll probably put a little bit of, what's it called? Fill light, basically. But it's got a word, hasn't it? Atmospheric light. Is that the right word? I'm obviously getting tired now. Yeah, with other sort of lights. Maybe even an HDRI in the background. No, I probably won't actually. I probably won't. Might do. I don't know. We'll see. It's nice to just try these things out, isn't it? Okay, so it's looking kind of interesting and cool. Kind of. I mean, I could try and use some texture brushes. I don't think I've got any good ones for woody textures, but we could have a look. So let's look at the texture again. Now remember, I've got click on these, and I mean I could go a bit weird. It's still on tiled, so I'll turn it back to random and stroke anchored. Okay, and then we can sort of do this to it, which sort of works. Okay, that rock brush works. Oh, that's weird. Oh, yeah, of course it changes it all back. Now I've undone it. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Strength just down a bit. Did I put it back to anchored? Yes, I did. Oh, the texture's gone. There we go. That's quite nice, actually, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite fun, really. Oh, thanks again, Milan. I really appreciate that. You can be a moderator if you like, Milan. Definitely. There you go. You've certainly donated so much that I feel like I should give you that back. There you go. You're now a moderator. And remember, with great power comes very much. Great responsibility. Love it. Love that quote. I'm assuming you all know where that quote is from. Yeah, surely you do. No one likes moderators. Well, we have the best moderators here. So, yeah, so you have to like them. It's working quite well, this rock brush, as a tree brush, isn't it? I'm quite liking it. Sculpting or texturing the rings of the tree. There'll be a bit of both, I would say. Oop, that's no good. It always follow the grain with the tree, obviously. I mean, you probably get the idea with that, wouldn't you? It's fairly obvious, isn't it? But don't go sort of across like this because, well, I suppose you can occasionally because it'll add a bit of variation, but generally you're sort of following a grain, aren't you? As you can imagine. That's the problem with these brushes. You will get a bit of repetition. That's why changing the size, and then changing the bit of the rotation every now and again. But generally speaking, they're going to follow the grain. Right, let's get that draw sharp and then crease that in. Oh no! I run the draw sharp brush, doing the sculpting thing. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? Not that it matters too much, but that doesn't matter anymore. But the stroke method needs to go back to space, and then we can draw this sharp. I feel like the actual stroke now. Oh, the strength is low. That's why. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I mean, I can sculpt these rings in and give it a stylized look. I suppose I haven't really been. I've been going very sort of realistic style, but actually, I was thinking more of a sort of stylized look. Originally, is what I was planning anyway. Always do that, especially when you start using the alphas. It goes away from that sort of stylized look. So can you see I'm sort of adding a bit of that stylized look back in. Unsuccessfully. That wasn't the best, was it? Hopefully I haven't gone too far with this. Sometimes though, the matte cap, yeah, matte cap can go a bit sort of over the top. That's not a very good one though. It's yeah, it sort of just overdoes it with the light, and you don't actually get that kind of result. And you can actually up and down the normal maps as well a little bit. You shouldn't really do that though. How are people doing? You've got a blue colour in your name now. I've got quite a few mods on here now, but it's quite helpful really. You can sort of well, moderate. Just making this a bit sharper so it's got a sort of obvious edge, so where the bark is bark. Hopefully I'm making sense. But bark has that sort of thickness, doesn't it? Now let's up that a little bit. I'm going to change the fall off. I'm going to make it a bit smoother, because this is a bit blobby at the edge here. There we go. So it's got a bit of a pinch to it, this brush. I quite like it. Back to the sharp. Yeah, originally when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, oh, this is all going to be very stylized, and now it's gone very sort of unstylized, isn't it? I'm smoothing out a little bit because I feel like I have lost my original intention of the stylized. Very sort of gnarly at the moment, isn't it? And I'm giving it more structural, so yeah, sort of more obvious structures like this. So you exaggerate with the stylized, hence why I'm saying that sort of. Am I making sense there? Making sense. No, I don't stream to multiple sites. I haven't really seen a need to. I thought about it at first. I thought, oh well, surely I'll reach more people. But actually, most people know me on YouTube, so I didn't see much point when I really thought about whether it was sensible to do or not. So I'm sort of giving it a sort of weird blocky look. I find that works quite well for that sort of stylized look. Slightly stylized anyway, it's not. But a bit more than it was. It's very gnarly around here, isn't it? Gnarly. Very surfer term, that. Brother's really into his surfing. Thanks for subscribing. I'm sort of miles away now. In between, I think maybe that's where my true calling is, because I find I'm always going that way. So I'll do a bit sort of stylized reel. We'll see how we get on. I'll develop this new technique. Stylized reel. It'll be amazing. Do you sculpting on high poly or relatively low poly? It's always fairly high when you're sculpting, yeah. So this object is 5 million tries, 3 million faces, or if you prefer verts, it's about sorry, not 3 million, 300,000 and 500,000. Did I say million just then? 500,000 were in 3, and they're down there. They're down there. The numbers are all down there. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've reached the end of my stream. But I want to just keep going until I get shouted at by my wife. Luckily, she doesn't watch my stream. But I'm really quite enjoying this. It's good fun, isn't it? So I might sort of continue doing things like this tomorrow. Probably in the afternoon I'll do this one tomorrow, maybe about 4 o'clock. Probably, all going well. Looks quite weird. It looks over the top at the moment. You go a little bit over the top with the sculpting when you're using the matte cap. And when we go back to studio, it looks much less. You see what I mean? And that's what it will actually end up looking like. But the matte cap really exaggerates everything, as you can see there. And we'll be able to get a bit of that, but not quite the same value. So we're getting there. So it's a bit stylized in the middle there, but I feel like that looks a bit stupid. So I suppose I ought to do one more Remesh. So let's save as. We're on tree 6. How are we doing? I do more realistic. The style, a bit cross between stylized and realistic. Tutorial about neon texture. Photograntism. Photograntism, that's the new term, is it? Yeah, I love it. I will be doing some lighting stuff in here that will be similar to neon with glowing mushrooms. Similar-ish, anyway. I'm just going to Alt left click. Oh, that's weird. Because Alt middle click and slide will give you views as well. It's a little bit confusing. So can you see up here my Cartesian coordinates changing? So if you're in sculpt mode and you need to move around, Alt middle click and drag, which is middle click is my pen button. So occasionally it just flip there because Alt middle click and just tapping middle click will take you to it will center your viewport, which is what you obviously want at times. Cool. Just creating some sort of cutty bits in here. It's best to go for stylized if your computer is a little bit of a potato. I say potato, this isn't a bad computer. It was about £1,000, but it was about 3.5 years ago. And it's now got a GTX 1070 in it because someone donated that to me, which I'm very grateful for. But the graphics card doesn't make any difference when you're sculpting, I don't think. Pretty sure that doesn't. Yep, so we've got a bit sort of a stylized look to a degree. I mean, it needs a bit more work, really. Hopefully it's making sense. That ring looks like it's from Naruto. How do you pronounce that? Because it's some sort of manga or something, is it? But I don't know because I haven't seen it. People get annoyed with me when I tell them that I don't watch much. I have been watching The Expanse, or is it just called Expanse actually? I've enjoyed that a lot. It's really good. So well worth watching. I love sci-fi. Most of you, I imagine, will probably quite like sci-fi, or you'll be one of the two, fantasy or sci-fi. So I imagine you'll probably all like it, won't you? But yeah, anybody like The Expanse? Is it called The Expanse? I think it's just Expanse, isn't it? But the sci-fi drama. It's on Amazon Prime at the moment. Doing a bit of advertising there. Should have put an affiliated link. But yeah, that's the good sci-fi and worth watching the whole, all the way through sort of thing. Really cool. Anybody else? Yeah, The Expanse is awesome. There we go. Frederick Exton, you're with me. I'm halfway through the... Is it 4th series now we're on? The last one anyway, I think it is. But it's just the right amount of progress within it. Sometimes some things move too fast and then you don't get any character development. Some things move really slow and you just get bored. And this is Goldilocks, just right. So can you see what I'm doing with this tree? Sort of making it blocky and weird, and it actually looks like something out of The Expanse, actually. But that's not what we're going for today. Not doing sci-fi today. Can you do hard surface modelling? I often get asked with sculpting. It's really, really hard. It's getting better with the tools that are available. So you can see these sort of tools and how they've it's been being upgraded and stuff. So we've got this cool tree creature. What we'll do next is we'll start creating some grass and moss on the tree, but I'll create those as separate objects, and then I'll texture them separately as well. So I'm not worried too much about the polygon count, but I will reduce it because it's really difficult to texture on something that's like 1 million polys. You can't unwrap it basically, and you have to use vertex painting, and it just gets really awkward. So I want to unwrap it properly. Therefore, I'll need to reduce the polys. And there's a few problems you get with that, but generally I'll sort of talk you through those things. Karen Trevino, loving The Expanse, good stuff. Just seeing what other people are saying. What is a better idea for a person who is starting his first own mobile game? Do it alone, scripts, artwork, animation, etc., or find other people to join in the project? Depends what sort of game. If it's, let's say it's you've got a little character that's going to go running around killing people, like every mobile game, then all that artwork for those characters, you'll probably need to work with someone. But if it's a really simple, I don't know, Candy Crush type game, then maybe you can say Candy Crush. I've never played Candy Crush, but I think I'm thinking just blobs that move around the screen and stuff. Then you'll probably be able to do something like that on your own. If it's all about gameplay and not about graphics, then yes, you can probably do that by yourself. Yeah, VR. There's lots of talk about it. Even Blender are talking about it, aren't they? They want to sort of be able to do stuff. Someone spoke to me the other day, and they were interested in a VR project. Maybe because I've not done it, so I might join in with them on that one. Possibly, we'll see. But again, I'm trying to keep my options open quite a lot, actually, because I'm really enjoying the YouTube stuff. So I don't. The freelance stuff I find does get in the way a little bit. So I have to be careful about how I split up my time and yeah. So because my channel is doing well, it's a nice revenue. I say nice, reasonable revenue. It's not, I mean, there's jobs out there that will give you a better wage and everything. I mean, there's not loads of money or anything, but it's enough for me to survive, and that's all. As long as I can do something I'm happy doing, I'm lucky enough to not have to worry about having kids and stuff like that. I haven't got any dependents, is what I'm saying. I don't mean to be rude about people that have kids, because obviously that makes, you know what I'm saying. I'm sure you know what I'm saying. Okay, so it's a bit more stylized. It will be eventually as well. When it's sort of painted as well. A lot of this will depend on the painting. A lot. I shouldn't have dropped my T's again. Talking about that earlier. Cool. So who's up for a lesson tomorrow? I'm thinking a simple game object, like I did the pots the other day, terracotta pots. I was thinking something like that. So can anybody think of a game object that they'd like to, and I'll be doing it sort of slowly as a follow along style. So anybody up for that, let me know, and join in tomorrow. That one will be in the morning, about 10 o'clock is my plan. All going well. We'll have to wait and see a little bit on that though, because it might. Just sort of thinking of ways. I should have a reference image for this, definitely, shouldn't I? And I've really messed that bit up. I should do another remesh file, save as tree 7. How are we doing? Oh, there's lots of people on still. It's nice, isn't it? What time tomorrow are you streaming? So there'll definitely be one in the morning I'm really hoping to do one in the morning about 10, and I might well do one in the afternoon as well, probably a little bit earlier, about 2 till 4, because I'm trying to do it for my students, so it'll be related to what they're doing. The first year students are just doing game models, so that's what we'll be doing. We're making a really basic game model, but if anybody thinks, oh, lantern is a good one, I like that, thank you, good suggestion. Egyptian furniture perhaps, could be a little bit tough, depends, I'll look into that. I need to write these down actually. Someone take a list and then share the Google Doc with me. A lantern's quite good. A treasure chest we've done before, so I probably won't go there, but that's it's a good idea, hence why we did it before, because it's a great idea. A sword is a classic, isn't it? I think we might have done a sword. We've certainly done sort of low poly swords, but then we could do it in this cool sort of painterly way, which would be good fun. But we have done swords. How to model gems. I have a tutorial on crystals, a magic ball. Yeah, UV sphere. Look at my node tutorials, job done. A submarine. It's not going to be Corona. We're not going to do any. We don't talk about that here. Can I just create a small? I'm going to look at some reference to that because that just doesn't look right. Although I haven't got any inside trunk references. Oh, there's one there which is not very good. That's not very good, is it? An oversight. All right, let's just do some more detail. Just some more detail. That will all sort it all out. That's just how you do it. No problem. More detail. There we go. Looks perfect now. Oh dear. Okay, just a bit more here. That looked weird. That did not do what I... Oh yeah, no, it's just the light looking a bit weird there. Cool, and just a little bit here. I can't help but just keep going with this. I've spent so long in this sculpting, haven't I? Hopefully it's sort of somewhat enjoyable for you. Let me know if you want to see anything different and stuff. There we've got lots of fire. We'll do, it could, maybe a cauldron. A paildron. What's a paildron? Explain what that is. Extra object gem. So sort of, I'm not sure what you mean, extra object gem. A totem, that's a good one. That's a good one, actually. It could be quite a good one for sculpting. More videos on topology. I'll get there eventually. Toilet paper. It's too valuable. It would cause a rush and it would just be impossible to manage. A scepter. Nice, I like that. Maybe a suggestion channel in Discord. Thank you. That's a great idea. I'll do that. Just having a look what other people are saying. A tavern room. Well, that in the second, because lots of my students, the first year are just doing basic objects, basic game objects. Second year they're doing environments. So a tavern room would be quite a good one, wouldn't it? Steampunk to go with the goggles. But what sort of steampunk? Maybe. So yeah, we got that. Lots of high quality renders for backgrounds, but not as game assets. Oh, I see. So yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yep. So make it this pretty much what this is going to be is sort of like a it could be a background. I might even animate it so it could sort of be a background screensaver type scenario, and then yeah, so it's high poly. Steampunk robot. That's a bit too in depth. Oh, shoulder armor, a pauldron. Okay, is that what it's called? A pauldron or something? Okay. That's an interesting one. Could possibly do that because it's quite a small piece of armor, isn't it? But it could... Yeah, maybe. I like that. I like these suggestions. Steampunk hat. Something realistic. A tank. Just tank. A musket. Oh, that's a nice one. Oh, I'm tempted with that. A musket. We could stylize so it's not too difficult. Oh, that might be the best one there, Edu. Well done. Or is it Edu? I'm not sure. What res should game assets be as to not slow down computer on average? Varies on the platform. One, I think their main character is for Gods of War or something, is it? 70,000 for their main character. I think it was something like that anyway. But generally, I would say even for high-end PC game, you're probably looking at about 20,000 for a character. Faces, this is. Steampunk toilet rolls. Ooh, nice. I really like how positive your channel is. Thank you very much, Accumulator. It's accumulating in positivity. Sorry. Old school pirate cannon. Oh, cannon. I love it. What a great idea. Yeah, cannon. Cannon or musket I'm going for at the moment. That's sounding really cool fun. And we can do it with, we could even do it sort of the stylized, painterly way as well. That'd be good. Do you do animals? Yes, I do. Sorry about the misses. Oh yeah, I've gone on for 2 hours 20 minutes. Sorry about that. Misses the bit about it being for your students. I thought you said misses as in my. I was thinking my wife then is going to complain at me for going on too long today. Hello GD Odyssey. Have a good stream. Yeah, almost finished the stream now. Steampunk gun sword, possibly. Exterior and interior of old house. Yeah, why not both? Clash of Clans style stuff. Yeah, there's that too. These are great. I like all these. I will. I think we have a bot. Don't we? Cool. Come to my place. Don't forget the bell button and join it. What on earth are you saying there, Yuka channel? I'm assuming you're a bot because there's a bit of spam going on there. A bayonet. Nice. Stylized coronavirus. A fun, happy coronavirus, maybe. Yeah, I'm always a little bit careful not to nuke people in case they're not a bot. So I sort of give them a few seconds. If it's a bot, we'll see more of them. It might just be a happy spammer, and they'll probably stop at this point. Justin Lavota. I like the idea of themed items. Musket and cannon goes with some. Yeah, it's sort of a theme then, isn't it? Yeah, that's quite cool. One of my moderators, I think, has deleted them. Oh, yeah, they are definitely a bot. Can we mute them now as well? If my mods are on the case. Oh, look at that! I love it. My mods, they're doing well. Go to it, boys. Good to hear, Lucky Kumar. Thank you very much. Okay, a balloon. Just a model of balloon. Maybe a hot air balloon. Oh, that's sort of steampunky, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so yeah, I'm going to call it a day there. So we see how far we got. I'll save my work quickly. File save. So a tree 8, and I'll probably carry this on at some point, maybe next Tuesday. All going well. We'll see how we go. So probably Tuesday is my sort of personal fun theme, and then Wednesdays, by the looks of things, is going to be college-based game assets. So doing some game asset stuff, and Fridays, as always, is the character for Raymond. So I think we're all good. Thank you, JB Blender. You've created a suggestions channel, so that's great. So in the description is the Discord link. So get across to the Discord. Thank you, JB. Very good of you. And put your suggestions in there. There's been some really good ones. I'm particularly interested in the cannon and the musket. It's probably where I'm going to go, but we'll see. I'm loving the suggestions. So get them in there in the on the Discord server. Really easy to join. Just go on there. Raymond, nice to see you on here. A toilet paper scared, running away from crazy shoppers. Oh, that's really tempting, that is. That's a good one. Karen, I like that. That we could even animate, couldn't we? Oh, that's good. There's a possibility in that. I might not do that tomorrow, but I might do one on Thursday. And do that. That could be pretty good fun, I think. That could be really good fun. Thanks, Justin, for joining us. Thanks, Corias. Some have had this. No, this Discord link, I changed it, so it should be okay. Doesn't. Oh no, it's not okay. That's weird, isn't it? What can I do? I'll quickly find the link and I'll post it. So how do I get that link? What's going on? Into here. There must be an obvious way to. Where's the settings? Where are you? There's the settings. No, that's user settings. Where are the settings for my account? Right, I'm in there. Oh, this is frustrating. Right, here's the Discord. Tell me where I'm going. Where do I find the thing? I did this just the other day and got a link, but it's not working now. So I thought it'd be under here. Oh, server settings. Oh, you idiot, Grant. What's wrong with you? Where is it? Invites. Nope, that's not it. Where do I? I don't find this particularly easy. Overview. Anybody any ideas? The character building stream is on Fridays. It's always the Fridays. I'll try and keep that one consistent because then people can sort of follow along. This one, the new making a weird whatever we're making is good to see you, Mick Nadathodi. Invite people. So it is invite people, right? Where's that then? Why can I not see that? I'm looking around. I can't see it. Oh, I thought it'd be under invites, but it's not, is it? Unless it is. Nope. Members. Nope. Oh, we've got 7,000. Look at that. User management. Oh, where is it? Main window. Okay. Where was the overview? Yeah. A main window. Invite people. Oh, do you mean not in the settings? What res is your stream camera? It should be HD. Yeah. I can't see it. I'll right click on Discord icon. Is this so if I come out of here, do I right click? There it is. Thank you. I'll never that. So can I? Okay, send to a friend. Can I not? Oh, it expires. Oh no. Expires after. Never. There we go. That's probably what happened. I'm getting there now. We don't want a max number of users. Generate link. Copy. Right, here it comes. People. Ta-da! Took me ages, but we got there in the end. Everybody got that? Okay, so so join the Discord server. Put in your suggestions, please. We've had some really good ones. So this is for tomorrow's, and it's got to be a game model, a really simple one that's sort of intermediate, beginners to intermediate. That's, I would say, my year 12s are at the moment. So they'll be hopefully joining us. They may not. They may just be sitting at home. But then I can sort of make it into a worldwide lesson. So I'll be going through it slowly, but we'll see how we go. Unfortunately I can't get to the description very easily, but I will copy it into the description as soon as I end the stream. Okay. All good. Anyway, I think that's probably enough now, isn't it, of me running around trying to get my Discord to work. Let's minimize that. Okay, so yeah, that's where we got to with this. So that will maybe continue this on Thursday, but I'm liking the idea of doing some toilet roll running away from scared toilet roll running away from some people, so that might happen instead. And then it can sort of stream behind. No, we're getting too difficult now. Year 12s are my students because the year 12s, they're called, so high school is sort of, goes all the way up, and they're the 12th year of school sort of thing. So sixth form we are. So we call them year 12s. So they're first year sixth form. So they're usually in the morning, so I'll be giving them a lesson. Which Mobile Studio Pro am I using? The 16-inch one. And it's the it's the best that I could get at the time about 2 years ago. So it's like the top spec. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day there. You did it, Grant. You won the interwebs. I know, didn't I do well? I put the Dislord kink on there. Cool, good stuff. Sunny Win Ray. I hope it is too. Okay. Thanks very much, guys. It's been a blast as always. Thank you, Andy S, and all those that joined. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow. All going well. It'll be 10 o'clock GMT. So in about, I don't know, what is that? 10 o'clock? I'm trying to think how many hours time, but I'm not even bother. When you join the Discord server, I think it's got some weird thing set, so you have to sort of go on the general chat and say hello and stuff, or introduce yourself and things, just so we know you're not a bot. That's what my mods have set up and stuff. Anyway, yep, stay safe, people. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Thanks all.